really think this guy is so good at doing interviews and like talking to people. He's actually so insanely good at it.
Mr. Vice President, great to see you.
Good morning. Thank you for
First of all, congratulations. All right, has it sunk in yet? Hillbilly elegy.
Yep.
Now the Vice President of the United States of America.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You know, it hasn't sunk in. And, you know, I joke that I took 2 wrong turns and I ended up, you know, a hallway down from the Oval Office. And it's just an incredible thing. You know, the first time I'd ever actually been to the Oval Office was with President Trump as his vice president last Tuesday.
Never been there.
Had never been to the Oval Office.
Wow.
And, you know, he always talks about, you know, you have these executives, foreign heads of state. The Oval Office just has a particular power. And I certainly felt it. And it was just amazing to stand in that room. And I remember at the time thinking, I wish that I had something profound to say. And I just stood in there saying, wow, this is crazy. Right?
No, I had the same experience when I went in. President Bush was in office at the time. And I remember, I thought it was surreal. I was like, is that really him?
Yeah.
And it is a special place. And then, of course, Trump has his little red button, which next to him, which is not the red button.
The dude's 40?
He screwed with me about that, actually.
Did he really?
Yeah, no, so we're just mid-conversation. I think we were with Senator Thune and Speaker Johnson, and he has this sort of beautiful, ornate wooden box on his desk with a red button, and he presses it.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looks over at me, and I'm like, sir, is that did something bad just happened?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I just ordered a Diet Coke.
That's what it is. It's the Diet Coke red button that comes running in. Then he'll ask you, would you like one?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good that's a really good idea. Yeah, if you just had a button to, yeah, that's great.
I've known President Trump for over 30 years.
Sure.
I've had a close relationship with him in all those years.
Yeah.
And he and I, when he was thinking about running, we had arguments for hours deep into the night about, I said, I'm not voting for you if you're not a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Vance is the most normal guy there is. Now I understand why they tried to label him as weird. I feel like the weird label for J.D. Vance is probably the most effective attack they had. I think it was, because it catered to the lowest common denominator of high school mean girl mentality. And that probably is how you activate a lot of people. It was the most effective one they had. Who's they? Well, obviously, like the whole Kamala Harris Democrat people, right? Obviously. I mean, who else would have a vested interest in him being called weird?
You really are now getting to know him very well.
Sure.
What have you learned about him?
Well, it's interesting. One, I've learned that he has the most interesting decision-making process of any person I've ever met. And I think it's what makes him such an effective leader, is that when he actually is thinking about doing something, he doesn't just ask, like, you know, his closest advisor or some policy person. You know, if it's going to affect a business, he'll call the business's CEOs. He'll go and try to talk to the workers. He tries to take inputs from everywhere. And I think it's one of the reasons why he's so in tune with where the American people actually are. But it's also, I think, one of the geniuses of the way that he makes decisions is that he actually tries to talk to everybody. And that's something, honestly, I could write a book just about the way that he gathers information from all sources. Wow. And it's very unusual. I mean, in Washington, most politicians, you know, if it's a national security issue, they'll talk to their national security person and maybe, you know, somebody else in their office. If it's a business issue, maybe they'll talk to a CEO. The president talks to everybody, and that's a very, very profound thing about the way that he actually operates in Washington.
I would describe...
I think that's probably why so many of the things that he says, like, a lot of people say that they relate to Donald Trump, and they he's relatable to them for, like, whatever reason, or they just like him. I think that the reason why is because of that. Is because he talks to people a lot, and he's charismatic, and he understands, like, what I think that average people, like, kind of think, even though he's clearly, I mean, this guy's clearly not very relatable to anybody, but, like, that's why people think that. I think his VP is glazing him. You think his vice president is saying good things about him? I would have never guessed.
Him as a force of nature.
I thought he was going to call him a fat orange retard.
And I think in many ways he's misunderstood as well, because I know the personal side of him and I know the business side of him. And as we've seen hundreds and hundreds of executive actions, and you've been here barely a little over a week now.
Yeah.
pretty speed of light. It's speed of light.
You know, we've, I think, accomplished, honestly, more in 8 days than the entire Biden administration accomplished in 4 years. And of course, the things that we're accomplishing are actually good things, and the things they were accomplishing.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they accomplished having 2 wars start, so it's not really entirely true, but that's a lot. But either way, in terms of positives, I don't know. I mean, it's very hard to say, but it's been like a week. It's crazy. Like, I will say that it does feel like like when Biden was president, as I said, man, it was like Rohan. When like King Theoden was like possessed by Saruman, like everybody was fucking depressed. Like you couldn't really talk to him. It was weird, man. They did nothing. Yeah, no, I'm not crazy for saying this, right? Like it's demoralizing. It's fucking depressing. Yeah, perfect analogy. Yeah, I'm serious. Everybody's in a bad mood.
The president has incredible energy. I mean, this is something you hear other people say about him, and it's hard to really appreciate it until you're up close and personal. I don't know how much he sleeps or if he ever really sleeps. I mean, you'll get phone calls from him.
I can answer that. Okay. He doesn't sleep a lot.
You'll get phone calls at 1 a.m, and he'll just, he'll talk about policy and he'll talk about your family. And he just, there's something incredibly energetic about him, but you sort of need that, actually. The federal government has become so sprawling, and the bureaucracy is so unresponsive to what the president actually wants to do that you kind of need somebody in there who's constantly on. It's all gas, no brakes. That's certainly what we've seen in the last, 8 days. I think that's what we'll see for the next 4 years.
Yeah, it was kind of shocking. Like whenever he was just sitting there signing the orders and then answering questions from the press with no like script or anything. Like I was like, damn. Like, is this just the way it's going to be? Yeah, that was awesome.
When you look at, for example, the 2 biggest issues in this campaign.
That's not shocking. It happens every presidency. Well, it happens almost every presidency.
And the economy.
Sure.
And
yeah.
Because that's impacting the people in Ohio.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
That's impacting their life hard. And
that's
a lot of Americans have been really hurt. There was a study that came out, like 56% of Americans can't withstand a $1,000 emergency.
Sure.
It would be devastating for them. That scares me. I've been there. I've lived there. I know you've been there.
Of course.
Not fun. Not where you want to be.
Not fun at all.
And when I think of, the issue of immigration in particular, I'm looking at, we have known terrorists in this country.
Yes,
we have known cartel members, known.
Are you so poor? Yeah, that's the big problem is people don't have any fucking money. That's the main issue that people have. It's really not trans or immigrants or some shit. It's really people don't have any fucking money. And like you can say that maybe immigrants are taking jobs and, yeah, for sure it's a factor. But I think a bigger factor is like companies like not paying taxes, really rich people not paying enough taxes like that, and wasted money on bullshit. That's really where it's coming from, I would say.
Gang members, we have known murderers, rapists, and I'm watching the reaction of the left and the left-wing media and the Democrats. And, we're back to Nazi fascists, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini. And I'm like, what part of these other people are you missing?
No, it's totally crazy, Sean. And if you look, there was the guy who went viral a few days ago that we deported, 17 violent criminal convictions, and was actually saying...
The guy from Haiti.
The guy from Haiti. Yeah. He was saying, I hate Trump, I love Biden because Biden...
I bet he did. Yeah.
...wanted me to stay in this country. Is there a better endorsement of Donald J. Trump that a violent criminal who shouldn't be in this country doesn't like him because Donald Trump is actually enforcing the immigration laws of this country?
Yeah.
And it's everywhere, Sean. It affects everybody from all walks of life. It's the drug epidemic.
I wonder why,
it's the crime. It's the fact that if you live along the southern border, you're affected by this cartel activity. I mean, we've seen, Sean, just in the last couple of days, multiple cartel members have fired at our own border patrol. And you ask yourself, why wasn't that happening a couple of years ago? Because they weren't empowered to do their job. The border has become so lawless that we're actually engaging in military-style engagements just to regain control of our southern border. And thank God we're actually doing it this time, because if we had another 4 years of Biden and the Democrats' wide open southern border, it would permanently, and I think irreparably, transform this country. So yeah, we're doing immigration enforcement in a big way. We're also doing things to lower the cost of energy, because of course...
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things a lot of people want to see. Yeah, definitely. And were there no illegals during Trump's first term? There were, but, you know, obviously, like, not as much. Like, I will say that this, like, so Trump, this second term was what I think everybody hoped for with his first term. Like, they thought this is what was going to happen in 2016. Am I right about that? A weekend? Yeah, because, like, how many of you guys felt the same way? Yeah, definitely. It's New Game Plus. Yeah, exactly.
We can lower the cost of energy. We're going to make food and housing, groceries, everything else more affordable for American citizens. And that really is, you're exactly right. That is the two prongs of the Trump agenda. We want to create more prosperity, and we want to create more security. And we're doing a lot. We're going to do a lot more.
I want to ask about the economy in a second, but we saw Tom Homan. I mean, I don't think there's anyone
Talk about a force of nature.
Yeah. I've tried to make him smile. I've had no luck. If you pull that off, that would be a miracle. But
he smiled one time when he's talking about getting rid of people. Yeah, there was one time.
I've known him a long time. I have a great admiration for him.
Me too.
And almost 10,000 deportations.
Yeah, he was happy about
some of the toughest criminals. Kristi Noem out on that ICE raid in New York yesterday. She was on TV with us last night. Amazing. 10,000 in a week. The president looking for, what, 1,800 a day?
That's right.
And, you know, that's a pretty ambitious goal.
It's ambitious, but you need a leader who sets ambitious goals and actually holds people to meeting those goals. If you think we've got 20+ million illegal aliens in this country, we have got to get these people out of our country and regain control of our own border. And it's not just the people that we're deporting. If you look at the number of illegal entries on January the 19th, the last day of the Democrats' administration, I believe the number was north of 1,300 illegal entries.
This is what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to get rid of like probably 3, 4, 5 million of them. Then that's going to be pretty much problem solved. Like, that's probably what's going to happen. Because like you get rid of like the worst 20-30% of them, the rest of them, like, yeah, it's not good for sure, but like they're like at that point they're basically going to probably slow down a lot. It's not going to be as important, because I think like everybody gets behind like arresting some like convicted 17 times. What are we talking about, right? Get out of here. But you know, you're talking about like like removing people that are like grandmas, etc. You know, like, again, I think they should deport everybody, but the people that they should do it last to are those, right? And I could even see, like, if somebody's over a certain age, they don't get deported, right? Like, if you're over 70, it's like, okay, well, you know, fuck it, you got me, right? I could see something like that, not totally unreasonable. But of course, yeah, sure, right? And that's what I think is going to happen. Yeah, 90-year-old illegal, okay? Yeah, I mean, you're going to deport some 90-year-old person. What? Why? What is this, right? I mean, like, that's my opinion.
5 days later, we had already cut that by more than 60%, and I guarantee we're going to cut it even further. Yeah. Policy matters. Elections have consequences, and President Trump ran explicitly on regaining control of the border and redelivering American prosperity. That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah. And it is funny, Sean, to hear the media and the Democrats howl about this and say, well, you know, this is bad, this is terrible, you know, this is, like you said, fascist, Nazi, blah, 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 blah. The president promised the American people he was going to do this.
Yeah, that's the thing, is people get mad about the deportations, but that's literally what a lot of people voted for, and it's what the majority of the public wants. Most people want mass deportations. And so if you think about that, how many people do you think want deportations of anybody who was convicted of a crime? Probably like 95%, right? So I mean, like, you can say that, like, oh yeah, it's like Nazis doing this. Yeah, okay, right? Well, I guess there's a whole lot of Nazis.
Gave him a mandate, so now he's doing it. That's how democratic politics in this country works, and thank God for that.
If I was in your position or President Trump's position, and I never will be, let's be clear, but if I was, I think what would keep me up at night is the fact that we have known terrorists in the country,
Sure.
and we have murderers in the country, and rapists, and violent criminals, cartels, and gang members, as I said. I'm worried about an attack on the homeland, Mr. Vice President. How worried are you?
Well, look, I am worried, Sean, because we were given a country with hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe more of known terrorists that are in the United States of America thanks to the open borders of the last amendment.
Immigrants have the lowest crime rate of any demographic. Yeah, I mean, like, I think that this is the way that a lot of people see it, and it's also the way that I see it, is that the lowest crime rate is still an unforced error, where the amount of crime for that should be 0 because it shouldn't have happened in the first place. So I don't think immigrants are out there committing crime and they're awful and they're like, these are super dangerous people, etc. But this is an unforced error. Like, it shouldn't be happening in the first place. It shouldn't be happening at all.
So it's our job to worry about it so that hopefully we can prevent that attack. So it's something that does keep us up at night. It's something that the government is working on very.
He says that's a lie per capita. What I'm saying is that it doesn't matter whether it's a lie or not. It doesn't change the viewpoint that I have. And I think that a lot, how many people, like what I just said, that's how you think. Like, it doesn't matter to you, like, whether they commit more or less crime. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, there we go. All right. It's so easy.
Aggressively. We've got great intelligence services. We've got great border enforcement. We're trying to identify the bad guys and get them out of our country because, look, what you don't want to have happen, Sean, is let's say we take a foreign policy action that some foreign terrorist organization doesn't like. Well, now these guys, they're not in Syria or some foreign country. No. They're in our backyards. They're in our cities. We have to get them out to make the homeland safer, but also to empower the president to do the things that he needs to do when it comes to national security. So
I can't imagine what the logic is in allowing known terrorists to stay in the country. That's crazy. And yeah, I don't know what to say. Illegal immigrants have a 100% crime rate. I mean, can we just be honest, though, at drawing a distinction between illegal immigrants that come to the country and commit criminal offenses and ones that don't? And the fact that that's a very big difference. To me, I think that's a very big difference. And I understand that people don't want to make that difference because they think that that somehow creates an acceptable group of them. But I think that logically it is a difference. And I think that anybody would observe that difference if they went about solving this problem. Where if you were going to solve this problem, you would probably go after the people that would be the most problematic first. Which implies that there is a tier system of who is more and less dangerous and more and less problematic, right? And detrimental. So I think that we all know this. Now, it's all on a spectrum of not good, for sure. But one of them is, like, bad, and the other one is, like, insanely fucking bad. I think that's just reasonable.
It does worry me, but we also have a government that's actually tackling this issue. It's getting better every single day.
How do we find them? I mean, you have known terrorists, but you don't know where they are. Known cartel members, but you don't know where they are.
Well, it's crazy, Sean. Sometimes you're right. We don't know where they are.
Yeah,
sometimes we actually do. And that's one of the craziest things of the last week, just for me. You ask what is shocking to me, it's that many of these violent criminals, we knew their addresses, we knew their names, we just needed to send somebody to go to their house and get them the hell out of the country. That really should shock the American people.
We've known where they are?
Exactly.
And we've known they've had terror ties?
We've known at least that they had violent criminal backgrounds, and we haven't done anything until about 8 days ago when Donald Trump became the President of the United States again. It really...
This is such an unforced error. Like, it is. This is crazy. Most of the mentality for all things. There are errors, like you said. Yeah, no doubt. And we're wasting our time fighting poor immigrants. Instead, the billionaires are sucking us dry. I understand that you don't like billionaires and you think that corporate America... how about this? How about the billionaires that run the companies that are invested and vested in the fact that they continue having this cheap labor source of these illegal immigrants that they can take advantage of? Because I agree with you. I think that you're right. The people that own these companies, a lot of times that are employing these people that are, like illegal, they're fucking, like, they're rich. They're massively fucking rich. You can do both. Yeah, exactly. And so the people that are running the companies are like that too. I don't think that, I don't think anybody's in disagreement that that's also a problem too.
It should shock the conscience of the American people. One of the things you heard on the campaign trail, one of the criticisms of me and of the president was, well, yes, we have 20 million illegal aliens. We have, close to 1 million violent.
He says again, I'll respond to another one. I don't care about billionaires making money from business. It's when they have the power to lobby policies. And how do they get the power? Let's move on.
Well, yes, we have 20 million illegal aliens. We have, close to 1 million violent criminal illegal aliens, and we don't know where they are. It turns out we actually do know where a lot of them are. We just haven't had immigration enforcement, and that's what's changed so radically.
That actually gives me hope that we can protect the homeland, because I would imagine if you're a terrorist and you're in our country, you're not here to pursue a better life for you and your children.
Right. Yeah.
You're here to plot, plan, scheme the next attack on our homeland. And I lived through 9/11. I don't want to live through that again. I don't want to lose 2,977 Americans again.
Yep.
Hey, Sean Hannity
there it is. Yeah, I think that's it. From you backing the party that increases taxes on the bottom half of the country, I'm not backing the party. I didn't vote for Trump. If I say that I like what Trump is doing with immigration, that doesn't mean that I support billionaires. That's not the way the world works. I understand that whenever you create this, like, weird abstraction, that's the only two options in your mind. But no, that's not how it works. Who'd you vote for? No one. I didn't vote for anybody. I'm sorry. Yep. I try to support policies and ideas rather than people. And so in an individual sense, I support this. Doesn't mean I support everything. And yeah, people don't understand you can only do so much at a time. Are you happy with what you got? Yeah, sure. You've influenced more people to vote for Trump than Kamala. I never said you voted for anything. Well, if the way that I covered things makes you unhappy, then you should cover it in a way that you think is more favorable. I'm covering things in the ways that I think is authentic and accurate. And so if you don't think that it's accurate and you don't think that the way that I see it is true, then you have every right to respond and then make your own videos and talk about it in your own perspective. But the reality is that I think the reason why people are talking about it, and also, like, yeah, sure, I've been more positive towards Trump because I was happy with what he was going to do. Yeah, sure, it's that simple. But it doesn't mean that everybody else has to do what I say. And also, like, if I wanted to influence people to vote for, Vermin Supreme, I don't think that would really shift the vote that much. So it's very easy to go and blame a content creator for talking about things, but what you should really be doing is asking yourself, why are people listening? Why are people listening to this messaging? And, like, for example, I think that the Luigi situation is, like, a really good example of that. Because it's very, like, it's obviously a very bad thing to go and shoot people that you don't like or that you think are doing something wrong, just because, like, oh, you're running this company, you're an asshole, I'm going to shoot you because you're an asshole, right? But why did so many people support Luigi? Why is it? There's a good reason for that. There's a really good fucking reason for that. And although I don't support killing people, I'll tell you this. I read a lot of what Luigi said. And outside of shooting anybody, I don't think he was wrong. I think he was right about everything. That's the way I think. I don't think he should have shot somebody. Murdering somebody is the only thing that most people disagreed with Luigi on. Everything else he said, I think people were totally on board with. Gresto, thanks for the 10 subs. I appreciate it. And You almost never cover anything negative about Trump, and your Twitter group just reinforces your feeds. So earlier today, I talked a little bit about the plane crash, and I said that Trump made a mistake, and it was stupid for him to blame it on DEI and to frame it around DEI. So maybe you weren't there at the beginning of the stream because, like, I mean, obviously I've been live for like a few hours now, right? And so, like, people are going to come in and out. But that's just one example, right? And other examples, I'm sure, will come out, and that's what will happen too. Ban at Bozo. Yeah. And so I try to look at individual circumstances and make my best decision based off of those circumstances. And it's really just that simple. DEI is the reason, though. I don't think that's fair to say yet. But anyway, also the pardons you disagree with? Yes, I think that the pardons were an unforced error. Absolutely. Like, you didn't need to do that. What's your take on January 6th pardons? Yeah, so why are you trying to justify your position? Well, I mean, I think that having, like, a lot of people accuse me of these kinds of things, and so I think that when I have the opportunity to talk about it kind of open-endedly, then it's not really a bad thing to do that. I don't think that's really a bad thing to do at all. Obviously not all the time, but sometimes I'll listen to it and I'll explain it, and there it is. And so anyway, what I was saying is that, actually, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the January 6 sausages. That's right. Yes. I do not support releasing any of them that stole property, violated, or that stole property or hit a police officer or was violent towards a police officer. I do support releasing all the ones that just simply walked into the Capitol building. So I think that if you were violent, you stole or damaged property, I don't think that you should have been pardoned. And if you didn't do any of those things, I think you should have been pardoned. That's the reason. That's my perspective. And I think that also, like, there could be some gray areas in there, but overall, I don't think that we should, and this is the way I see it. I don't think that we should express any tolerance for people that are violent and aggressive towards law enforcement. Period. Police officers are not target dummies. They're not punching bags. I don't think they should be treated that way. 4 to 5 years isn't enough. Breaking in, like, let's say you're stealing something directly out of the Capitol building. No, I think 10. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're going to do that? You're going to fuck up. This is our federal fucking building. You're going to break into the fucking building. You're going to steal shit out of it. Suck a fucking dick. Get the fuck out of here. And it's the same thing I've said with other things too. Like, we are way too soft on people that are bad actors. These are people that are bad actors. They're stealing shit. They're destroying property, and they're hurting police officers. Why the fuck are we even giving them even the slightest amount of leniency? I'm sorry. No, it's ridiculous. And I get people might think that I'm a bit too harsh. And hey, I might be a bit too harsh. But that's what I think. You ask me what I think, that's what I think. So yeah. Bad actors destroy movie industry. January 6th sympathizers are weird. Well, that's my viewpoint, right? You don't sentence people because of a political agenda. Walking out of the building with something isn't a political agenda. It's theft. It's literally that simple. Do you have the same energy for BLM riots and murderers? Do I have the same energy for BLM riots and murderers? Abso-fucking-lutely. 100%.